as I look out at this beautiful audience today, this is absolutely spellbinding. And I said, it is such an honor to be here. I met Cheryl, I believe a few months ago in May, when I did a presentation for the HRDF here in KL. And we kept in contact, and she said, are you ever going to be back in Asia, in the July or August timeframe? And just so happened, I did some work in Cambodia with a client, and also before that, Vietnam just last week. So I said, would love to come to one of my most favorite cities and most beautiful countries in the world, Malaysia, and absolutely meet more people and learn from all of you and all of us today as we build a learning community around HR transformation. How many times do you ask yourself that? All of you are in such critical roles. The impact you make in human resources, the impact you make in management, the impact you make in leadership, talent development, whatever your role is in the organization. I know we have some general managers here of organizations, but it doesn't matter what your title is. Why do you choose to lead? One of the first questions I ask all of my clients when I work with them, they might be managing for 1 week, they might be managing for 20 years, and I always ask them, why do you choose to lead? The people that get into leadership with a passion and a mission and a message can answer that right away. I want to make a difference. I want to have impact. I want to help others. I want to learn about myself. There's so many things I want to do in life, and leadership is going to be that bridge for me. These are all answers I get. The answers I get that are the blank stares, the, oh, I don't know. Oh, I'm not sure why I choose to lead. Those are the folks I'm a little concerned about because they're in positions of leadership or they're choosing to lead. But why? What's that connection? And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Why do you choose to lead? So Gary Hamel, one of the famed futurists.
Thank you.
He's a great speaker, he's a great author, he's a smart guy. By the way, the game that we played earlier, which was brilliant, you lost me on 3 times 2. I was looking for 5. It's like, no, 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6. Not 5, Paul, not 5. So once that took place, I was like, I think I'm just going to watch everyone play this game and have a good time. But he's an incredible futurist, very smart guy. And he says, the world is becoming more turbulent faster than most organizations are becoming more resilient. So think about your organization. Think about yourself in that organization. The world is becoming more turbulent. Nobody's going to disagree with that. I mean, it's all relative. Everyone thinks right now, oh my gosh, look at the world. Look at what is going on in the world. Oh my gosh. It's all relative. It doesn't matter if it's 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, or 2018. Yes, we can say the world is turbulent. The one thing we can look at that legacy and say, it's not going to get any less turbulent. It's going to get more turbulent. So what are you doing in your organization? What are you doing in HR to become more resilient and to become more adaptable if the world is going to be turbulent? So that is already known. Don't be surprised. Oh, I didn't realize the world's going to be this turbulent. Oh, I don't sure about that. The world is what it is. So what are you going to be doing within your organization? What are you going to be doing within human resources to serve your teams, your clients, your employees, yourself, in order to be successful and to become more adaptable and more resilient? So I would love to bring up always, because we're going to be talking today, I'm going to be followed today by some of the most expert speakers, motivating speakers, wonderful speakers. And they're going to blow you away with their content. They're going to just energize you. They're going to just get you thinking. So being the first speaker up here today, I am honored, and I want you to open your mind. I want you to step out of that comfort zone that you're kind of in right now. You kind of come in, you sit where you are, maybe sitting with people you know. Some of you are sitting in the back because that's safe, you think. I want you to use today to be your learning laboratory. Cheryl and her team have put an enormous amount of work into today to create a learning laboratory for you, a learning community. And all the speakers that come today and we'll be talking to are experts in their respective domain. And I want you to not just sit and listen, but sit and listen and think and analyze and assess and take action. So I want you to think, what do we need to maybe innovate? What do I need to innovate? Or what do I need to maybe disrupt? The difference between innovation and disruption. So I have tons of experience in the corporate world. Tons of experience in the corporate world. Tons of experience in the corporate world. Got it? I'm a corporate world survivor. I've had lots and lots of jobs in management, leadership, individual contributor, being on a team. I've made tons of mistakes in my life. Lots of mistakes. I've learned from those mistakes. I've also had lots of great successes. So I always want to look and say, what do I need to change about myself? Or what do I need to disrupt about myself? Now, innovation is doing something a little bit better. And in the corporate world where I came from, we always had innovation programs. We had departments of innovation. We had people whose title was innovation. And man, they were like all about change. So innovation's key. That's how we continually move forward. You're going to learn that today from some of the speakers. How do you innovate? How do you change? So, disruption, though, is making things that make the old things obsolete. A lot of companies innovate. Not a lot of companies disrupt. And there are times in your life, and there are times in your organization that you might need to actually disrupt something. Disrupt a technology. Disrupt a process. Disrupt a policy. Disrupt yourself. What do you need to do to make something about yourself, your style, your behavior, your thinking obsolete? And what do you need to do to just make it innovative and change? Not everything needs to be obsolete, but I want to challenge you this morning around that. What do you need to do within your organization? You're going to get lots of great ideas this morning. So I want you to think, what do I need to innovate? What do we need to innovate in HR, perhaps, to help our employees, to support our employees? And what do we maybe need to disrupt? And as it pertains to leaders and leadership and who you are as a leader, what are some things you might need to innovate? And what are some things you might need to disrupt? So as we think about it in the frame of HR, and how do you digitalize HR? How do you make it more user-friendly? We haven't heard that term before. You know, we have now so many apps and so many ways to do things. I just came from Cambodia. Anybody here been to Cambodia before? Raise your hand. Yeah, quite a few of you. And I came from the town of Siem Reap, which is a beautiful town. It's where Angkor Wat is, the beautiful, beautiful, majestic temples. And I was working with a hotel group in Siem Reap, and I was working with their leaders. But here's something interesting. You'll see this about myself. When I'm walking and I'm holding this and I'm using this, a lot of times I can't do anything. So you just have to understand my multitasking. You know, if I can walk and do all of this and talk at the same time and you understand me, that's a good day. That's a good day. In Siem Reap, they get around the town by these little tuk-tuks. And little tuk-tuks are those motorized scooters with a little bench in the back, and you get in and you go all around town for like $1 or $2. It's wonderful. And you can always leave the hotel or leave a restaurant or leave a store. There's all these tuk-tuk drivers out there with their tuk-tuks. and these little motorized scooters, and they're like, tuck, 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 tuck. And you can always get one. First time I show up there today, I've been going to this particular client a few times a year. They now have a tuk-tuk app that you can order a tuk-tuk via an app. And I just about like, it's like an Uber or Lyft or Grab for tuk-tuk. And I thought, I understand the technology, and I understand the ease of it, but it takes away from that experience, that connection. When you're walking out, and you're looking at all the tuk-tuks, and they're all like, tuk, 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 and I tuk, 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 tuk. And there's that connection you make, right? It's different than Uber or Lyft or Grab, where you're getting a car and a driver. This is like a tuk-tuk, this is like a person-to-person, but they now have all these apps. Talk about how they digitalized that. It makes it more easy for them, and certainly for the drivers, wonderful. But it just blew me away. It was like, wow. And I'm thinking, I wonder how well that technology is matching to the customers. Because many of the customers are tourists. How many of them are actually going to have the app? So there's lots of things that come into my questioning in terms of that transformation. And are you serving the right audience? Which is what you always need to think about when you're looking at any type of improvement, innovation, or disruption, especially to HR. So, again, for today, you come in here, I want you to look at what do you need to break today? What do you need to break today? What do you need to disrupt for yourself today? So that tomorrow when you leave here, you begin anew something, one action, one new thought, one new belief. Again, you're going to be honored with all the people that are going to speak to you today. But more importantly, look at this room. You just stood up and said hello to all of you. The learning comes from all of you. It's not us. It's all of us. There's so much learning that you can have with each other. But you have to be open to that. You have to be open to that. So we've all heard the term probably left brain and right brain, right? Now I'm assuming we all have brains. And given that Kahoot game, I'm not so sure about myself a little bit this morning. I'm not sure where I land on that. Wonderful, wonderful water, wonderful replenish. So the left brain is that analytical side of us, right? It's that spreadsheet side of us. It's that science side of us. And the right side is a little bit more of that creative, the music, the art, and so forth. We can call it kind of the art and science of who we are. Many times we're recognized for either a right brain or a left brain activity. And sometimes we're recognized at work and in life by bringing those together and integrating those. So I want you to think about what triggers you on the left brain. I'm going to talk a lot about triggers today. And what triggers you on the right brain. Because the left brain is the science. It's how we get from A to Z. It's those instructions. But the right brain is the art. It's the journey. It's not just getting from A to Z. It's the quality of that experience of how we do it. I travel. I'm blessed to be able to travel and travel for work. And people are like, wow. They go, you must have just a checklist of all the cities and all the towns and all the countries and cultures you visited. And I thought to myself, a checklist? I don't look at it as a checklist. I look at it as an experience. Every time I come to KL or JB, it's a whole nother experience for me, unlike anything in the past. Anytime I go to Singapore or Bangkok or Chiang Mai, it's a different experience for me. It's not a checklist, as some people might think. So when do you checklist things in your life, and especially at your work? And when do you need to enjoy that experience, especially for your employees? Now, the other thing I want to talk about with our brain, there's some new work being done by Stanford University. I don't know if it's new. I think it's probably been out since all of us have been little kids, which for me is a long time ago. But it's called the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. And I know all of us understand what mindset is. And that fixed mindset, when we're locked. When we're locked into a belief. We are locked into a judgment. We are locked into an opinion. It has to be this way. You're fixed in that. Now, it might be right. It's not a question of right or wrong. It's just that you are fixed in that thinking. You are fixed in that way. You are fixed in that process. People that say things like this. So I used to head up HR, and which was scary as heck for me. When I took the job as head of HR, I'd been an HR business partner, I'd been a recruiter, I'd been learning and development, I had been organization development, and if you see, I keep getting moved around until they're saying, well, he can't do anything else, make him head of HR, and that'll take care of it. But I became head of human resources, and I couldn't operate with a fixed mindset. I had to have the growth mindset. Because if I operated with a fixed mindset, I wouldn't have been very successful. Because I didn't know enough. I knew that I had to hire smart people onto the team and then get out of their way. And that is all about the growth mindset. The growth mindset is sitting in that state of inquiry, asking questions, being vulnerable, thinking about things that you can learn. So again, when we think about that fixed mindset, I'm either good at it or I'm not. That's the way it's always been done here. Anyone ever hear that before? We've always done it that way. When I'm frustrated, I give up. I stick to what I know. Failure is the limit of my abilities. The growth mindset. Failure is an opportunity to grow. Ladies and gentlemen, if failure is an opportunity to grow, then I have grown by leaps and bounds to where I am today. To understand that if you operate with a growth mindset, babies have to take baby steps because they're going to wobble. They might fall. They have to be supported. That's how you show courage. That's how you step out of your comfort zone. That's how you build new skills, new behavior, is by baby steps. We like to think of courage as giant leaps. You know, when you look at courage on Google, they show people leaping out of buildings and airplanes and leaping. That may be courage, and taking a baby step to try on a new behavior is brilliant. You have done just a huge round of applause. And thank you so much. And I have a copy of my book for you. There you go. Thank you. Ah, see? Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Big round of applause for Amy. So think about baby steps as showing courage. That's how you have sustainable change. You doesn't always have to be. I'm going to tell you how many times in organizations, I worked in tons of organizations, some more successful than others. But I worked at Bristol-Myers Squibb. I worked in stock brokerage. I worked in private equity. I worked at Adobe. I worked at a lot of companies. And I always heard the term large-scale transformative change. And that scares everybody. It's like large-scale transformative change doesn't stick. Doesn't stick. And that's why as consultants and coaches, we usually come back in the next year to help those companies because that large-scale transformative change doesn't work. Absolutely, Dr. Allen, doesn't work. Companies, like people, we have to take deliberate, purposeful baby steps with a clear purpose and a clear outcome, and they need to be deliberate. So great job. Thank you for that. That was a wonderful show, and that was a wonderful show of courage to come on up here. Here's your comfort zone. Here's your comfort zone on drugs. No, I'm just kidding. Here's your comfort zone. Here's when you step out of your comfort zone. So your comfort zone can be obviously comfortable. And sometimes we choose to be in our comfort zone. We choose it. There's nothing wrong with our comfort zone. Comfort zones are good. That's why they're called comfort. They're comfortable. They're a zone. They're good. But in order to grow, in order to look at fulfillment, new challenges, new opportunities, you want to step out of that comfort zone. But you want to do it in a way that's deliberate. Sometimes life has a way of forcing us out of our comfort zone when we don't plan to it. That just happens in life. I've had enough life events that sometimes it just happens. You just are forced out of your comfort zone. Many times I look and say, if you had to write your own book on leadership, or your own book on your life, what would it be? Start with the title. What would that be? One of the exercises I use sometimes with groups and training is we have them write their book, their leadership philosophy book, or their management philosophy book, or their life philosophy book, depending on the group that I'm working with. And they start with that title, and then we work on the chapters, and we work on the models. It's a great exercise to think about. But what about for you? So the book that I wrote, Find Your Voice as a Leader, believe me, it just came from here. It came from my heart. Sure, it came from my head as well, but it came from my heart. Because I had a message I wanted to get out. It may not resonate with a lot of people. Not everyone's going to look, oh, this is the best book I've ever read. It's not about that. It's about I have a message to share, and I wanted to share it. And so maybe somebody would look at it and read it and think, wow, this is something that resonates with me. Because that's how we learn. So that's voice, V-O-I-C-E. Let me do a time check. Where's the, how much time do I have? I want to be conscious of our time.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Oh, 5 minutes, okay. I thought you said 50 minutes.
No, we'll give you 10.
Yeah, okay, wonderful, great. So, to end today, as we kind of wind down a little bit, and I'm going to be around all day today so we can talk more and I can learn about you. You may not want to learn any more about me, but we can talk. How many times does this happen? What you plan and what happened, right? I call this my VUCA view, right? We all know VUCA, right? What does VUCA stand for? Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And from an HR standpoint, this is a busy slide. By the way, I will be providing you all my slides. So I'm going to send those to Cheryl. I'll clean them up a little bit, but you'll get copies of the slides. But leaders in HR, how to be ready for the Bootcut Era. This is a great kind of slide in terms of that transformation journey from volatile to uncertainty to complexity to ambiguity. So, what do you need to do? We live in a VUCA world. That ain't changing. That's not going to change. And it creates a lot of stress. And what do I do with it? And this is usually a reaction we have with stress. Believe me, I've done this many times at work. And being in HR, I've had many people do this in my office before. I can't take this anymore. Instead of this is the reaction you want. This is the centering you want. This is the calmness you want. This is that approachability. Who wants that or this? Now, how come this happens sometimes? This goes back to the ego. It goes back to the ego because when we are faced with the VUCA world, which is every single day, every single hour, every single minute, every single second, when we are faced in a VUCA world, the people that have that fixed mindset all the time, that operate with an ego, they're operating within their community, and then all of a sudden they look around and they feel like an imposter. Anybody ever hear the term imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome? It's when we think we're fake. They're going to look around, all my teammates having a great time, going through the ice, looking for fish, looking for food, and they're going to look around one day and say, wait a minute, you're not one of us. You're wearing something that kind of looks like us, but you're really not one of us. I can't tell you how many leaders I work with, including myself, that have imposter syndrome. They think they're going to be found out as a fake. They're in incredible roles. They have incredible impact. But they think one day, oh, they're going to come get me with all the boxes and tell me to leave. That's because they need to move towards much more of that growth mindset. They're getting stuck in that fixed mindset all the time. So if you yourself have ever had imposter syndrome, where you think, I don't think I'm supposed to be in this role. I don't know how I got here, or I got here by accident. There are no accidents. Everything is planful and everything is deliberate. So you want to work on building the confidence of yourself, of your team, and of your organization, especially as you move through transformation. My mother was wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Never let me be the victim. Would always kick me in the you-know-where to get up and get out and keep going. There was no crying, or if there was, it was very short. So my mother kept me going and made me very self-aware of what I could do. My father, incredible man, and it was because of him and because of his life that I really felt I needed to go out and find my voice and share it with others. And then lastly, I mentioned my sister. She passed away not too long ago. She had the 7 children, and now she's got 38 grandchildren. But my sister had a very short life. I'd like to say short life, but in that short life, she left such a wonderful legacy of things that she used to say. So my sister Liz would say, never tell anyone anything you don't want repeated. How much do we know that in HR, right? People like to talk about themselves. We know that. That's always a common way in. You can't control much, but you can control your attitude. And then lastly, ladies and gentlemen, for all of you, because you do this on a day-to-day basis, service is the best love language. My sister was a teacher for 40 plus years, passed away just a few months after her retirement, but she lived her life in service. That's what all of you do in your roles as leaders, in human resources, in talent, in learning, in management, whatever you do. Never forget that service is the best love language. You were created as an original. Don't become a copy. So I want you to find your voice. Zig Ziglar says, don't become a wandering generality. Be a meaningful specific. Stand for something. Don't worry about popularity. Don't worry about being liked. Worry about standing for something. Be meaningful specific. And instill that trust and respect. Lovely to be here. I feel so at home with my heart in KL in Malaysia. And I look forward to talking with the rest of you this afternoon. Thank you.